All right, I'm Q.
I'm Kyo.
I'm Master Joe Tame.
We're here with the top 10 list. We have the top 10 characters, at least what we think are the top 10, from the BattleTech fiction stories. So at number 10, we have Anastasius Vogt, who in most of the fiction is the head of Comstar. Comstar is the secretive organization that kind of plays behind the scenes in the Inner Sphere, working and organizing against the clans. And most of the time, we just love to hate Anastasius because he's the puppet master. He's the one pulling the strings.
At number 9, we have Lincoln Osis. He is started out as a Khan of the Smoke Jaguar clan, and eventually after the Truce of Tukayid becomes the Ilkhan of the clans, which is kind of their overall leader. He's a very, very nasty guy, and his warmongering efforts to restart the invasion, throw out the truce, and try to recapture the Inner Sphere pretty much leads the Inner Sphere to think that they finally need to destroy the clans for once and for all.
At number 8, we have Theodore Kurita. The Kurita family, heads of the Draconis Combine, are the major antagonists for most of the Inner Sphere stories. They are the major competitors to the Steiner and Davian houses. And Theodore is a very interesting and mixed character because most of the time he is actually trying to do the right thing with forces on all sides of him. To one side of him, he's got the clans constantly threatening to invade his realm. To the other side of him, he's got the Steiners and the Davians, who are also, not so coincidentally, trying to invade his realm.
At number 7, we have Hans Davian. He is was the leader of House Davian, which ruled over the... I'm blanking on the...
That was the Federated
Sons, that's right. He is one of my favorite characters. He is known as the Fox in the lore because of his devious plans that he had. On the day of his wedding, when he married Melissa Steiner, he ended up telling her that he was going to take the Capellan Confederation as his wedding gift for her, which led to a major war and a huge territory gain for the Federated Sons.
Coming up in number 6 is Felon Kell. This character starts out as the son of a mercenary leader, Morgan Kell. In the very first wave, the very first contact with the clans, he gets his mech destroyed and captured. Through him, we pretty much learn the entire clan lore, their customs, their culture, through the point of view of an outsider.
At number 5, we have Sun Tzu Liao. He is the leader of the Capellan Confederation after his father, and he sought vengeance upon House Davian for their role in taking all over most of the Capellan Confederation. He is a very manipulative, insanely intelligent individual, which caused so many problems with all his manipulations in the universe. He's one of those characters you absolutely love to hate, just of how conniving and manipulative, but how insanely smart he was, too.
It was a big deception. Coming in 4th, we have Natasha Kerensky, the infamous Black Widow. She is one of the very first people from the clans to come into the Inner Sphere whenever they were thinking about invading, and kind of carries on the clan warrior to the Inner Sphere, something they'd never seen previous. She's a big bad mech warrior and pretty much destroys everyone. There really isn't anyone in the Inner Sphere or the clans who hasn't heard of or respects Natasha Kerensky.
At number 3, we have Katrina Steiner Davian, one of the offspring of Hans Davian and Melissa Steiner. She, unfortunately in the Steiner line, insanity tends to run in the bloodline, and she inherited a whole buttload of it.
Not to mention narcissism.
Oh no, narcissism like crazy.
Oh,
She's the
absolutely.
kind that smiles at you and knifes you in the back.
She formulated a plan, had her own mother killed and assassinated, usurped her brother's throne, and tried to take over the entire universe as it was. Another one of those characters you just love to hate because of how crazy, insane, and manipulative she was.
At number 2, we have Kai Allard Liao. Kai is the son of Justin Allard, who actually was the protector for Hans Davian. In the older novels, Justin is acknowledged as pretty much the best warrior in the Inner Sphere, maybe except for Natasha Kerensky. His son Kai actually beats him. Kai is widely regarded, almost universally regarded, as the best mech warrior that had ever existed. He's also Victor's right-hand friend. He is the man who's responsible for several of the compelling victories in the storyline, as well as making sure that Victor Steiner Davian actually lived past the age of 20. Speaking of Victor, number 1.
Number 1 is Victor Steiner Davian. Everyone here came to pretty much mutual agreement that he is the best lore character out of them all. He plays an important pivotal role throughout the stories once he comes into his own being after his father dies. He's had his throne, lost his throne, manipulated against his sister, helped lead the war against the clans, which forced them to acknowledge our power and show them that we are not a force to be trifled with.
And then, of course, there's the fact that he shows up in almost every reference. There's some mention of something he's been doing, some plan, someone he's talked to, someone he's negotiated with. He's not the best mech warrior. In fact, his dice sheet tends to get torn up on a regular basis. He usually needs somebody to save his butt when things get really hot. But he's a great diplomat. He's great at finding those people that he needs to have around him to get things done. He's great at explaining why things need to go a certain way. And he's great at making friendships.
And he's not a bad pilot either.
No, and he's very, very loyal to his troops. One of the first scenes I had read about him, and consequently one I remember the most, in the very first encounter with the clans on a planet called Trell 1, he will not leave his troops, and his second command literally has to deck him and put him on the dropship to get him out.
He never quite forgets that either. He always kind of holds a grudge against the clans for making him bail out on his allies.
And that's our top 10 lore characters for BattleTech list.